Hi, this is Steve Addison, and you're listening to the Movements Podcast, the podcast for people who want to multiply disciples and churches everywhere. If you're enjoying the Movements Podcast, why not consider leaving a review or spreading the word on social media? Today we're in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're talking to Chris Gibson about his journey in pursuing multiplying movements until there's no place left.
I really like to say it just started at my point of salvation. I got hurt at work and somebody invited me to a Bible study, met in a Racecar garage. But by this point, when I got hurt at work, I found a Bible in my house. I had no idea where it came from. I didn't really grow up in a Christian home, but I knew about God. There were some relatives that went to church and stuff. So I started reading Revelation, and I was like, what is this? This is in the Bible? I couldn't believe it. So it kind of wanted me to, I kind of felt like I needed to start reading from the beginning. So I started reading Genesis, and I got about halfway through Genesis, and I met a guy at my rehab center. I was rehabbing my knee. I had knee surgery. And he invited me to a Bible study. And so I couldn't put the Bible down. And I just felt like I was in every story. I was battling. And he invited me to a Bible study, met in the garage. And about 6 weeks ago, and every single Monday, I gave my life to Jesus. They pointed me to Jesus. And so that started my journey right there. Before I even entered it in a church, I'm in a Bible study with a bunch of guys praying for me. And it wasn't long. I was just trying to read the Bible and just do what it says. And that was kind of odd to a lot of people, but I feel like God was working on my heart right from the beginning. I did that for 4 years. We met in the garage, and then I kind of filtered into a local church where pastor kind of mentored me. And then it wasn't long. I was Sunday school teacher and small group leader. And then probably this was in 2004. I gave my life to Jesus. And then probably 2009, 10, I found I Am Second, maybe. And they had some videos, and attached was some guides on how to obey Jesus. There's some basic obedience-based Bible studies. And so I tried to do those myself. And then I found a link on the website that said, click to be a head coach in your area. I didn't know what that was exactly. They contacted me back, and they gave me some training on how to do some more obedience-based Bible studies. And so that helped me a lot. And so at one time we probably had 11 different groups going at one time from the church, from different churches and different places. It was cool to watch the videos and then talk about them, and then, set a goal, like who can you share with, or, the story that we learned. And then, just working with I Am Second, they invited me into the E3 partners officially. And so I've been working with E3 partners as E3 USA. From there, I really learned how to dive into T for T and what biblical, simple, reproducible really meant. So we started to transition in everything we were doing from obedience-based Bible studies to let's call it church. Let's do the functions of a healthy church. Let's dig into Acts 2 and use that as a basis. And so that really started my journey towards investigating movements. But I've always had a passion to hey, let's read the Bible. With the intention to do what it says, with the expectation that it's going to continue to transform our hearts, my heart and the ones that we're leading. And so I've always had that kind of mentality. So it's been really good to connect with other believers that are on that same path. And, I just feel like that's where God had me from the beginning, was heading this direction. Once we started to dive into everyone's oikos and figuring out that, hey, that's what Jesus did from the beginning, is dove into his oikos. And then I took a couple years where I went to share with my entire oikos, and there was 16 people. The people that I knew came to know Jesus. 12 of them immediately were baptized, and 2 complete families came to know Jesus. there was a little girl that came to talk to me about, hey, I want to be baptized. So I shared the gospel with her. She knew Jesus, and I don't know where she first heard, but it was a family member, and so yeah, I'll baptize you. So that gave me an opportunity to talk to the parents, which I knew they were unbelievers as well. They didn't believe at first, so we set up a baptism, and then we decided to meet at the lake. I don't get the chance to see my family a lot, so we decided to meet at the lake and ended up inviting a bunch of people. And there was 40 people that came out that day. People we don't see a lot, because we live down in North Carolina and this is in Michigan. And we went and we had a baptism service. We prayed. We talked about baptism and what it was, and we went out in the water and I baptized her. And then we came back in, and then the mom was like, man, I need to get baptized. And so I shared the gospel with her again, made sure she knew that what she was doing and what she wanted. And she's like, yeah, I've repented of my sins. She prayed right there and wanted to receive Christ and get into a discipleship group. And so I took her back out into the water and we baptized her. And then we came back in and the dad came. He's like, man, I'm there's something happening here. And he was bawling already. He was just crying over, he sinned against God. So again, I took him and we shared the gospel with him. He retold it back to me. He knew what he was doing. And so we just took him out and baptized him again. And so that was pretty awesome. But I think the remarkable thing that God did is he allowed me to, or not me, he showed himself strong in front of those other 40 people that were there. And so that was really a part of our oikos and our family, my wife and I. And so that was pretty powerful. I think there was something that happened. We were running pretty hard after doing obedience-based Bible studies, switching to church. My family and I don't know if we got burned out. We just started having too many discussions about ministry, and we thought it was time that I needed to take a break. We needed to take a break because we had people calling all hours of the day and night, people coming over all the time, and so we had no rest ever. And so we were doing too much. So we took a fambatical and just kind of walked away for about 6 months. And it helped us really refocus on our family, refocus on things that were important, rekindle the relationship with my wife again, that we never want to lose that again. And it helped my children as well. I think, because coming out of that, there was a lot of cool things that happened. And so I think that was a pivotal point. And so we came back into the work we took off, June to January. And then we had a gospel conversations training after that. And something happened and a couple months after that gospel conversations training, I started hearing about these stories about this guy has trained 12 churches in the 411, and these women are meeting in a group, but they're wanting some guidance on how to do the 3/3 a little better. There's people out there meeting in other groups they're not really sharing the gospel yet, but they want to learn how to do that more effectively. And I think me taking that time away, it forced people to go do on their own. And so I really think that had a big impact the last couple of years on some movement here, and or at least gaining traction. During that time too, we started attending just a local church. So we built some relationships there, and some people jumped into the work from that. And, so I've been mentoring and coaching more than anything else after we came back into the work. Just trying to catch up with what God's doing. And I'm still finding out things that I had no idea were going on, just trying to help coach that along. And, any kind of service I can do for them, to whatever it takes, I just have a heart to see the mission go forward. And so that's been a big pivotal point. I think that we had to take time away, refocus on our family. My daughter has jumped into the work. My son, he's only 10. My daughter in December, we baptized her first disciple in December this past year. And so that was really, really cool to see her blossom into that. And that really jump-started, again, some other movement that happened. I had another family baptize their son, and my daughter baptized a young man, and so now we have this new family. They're getting ready to move to the UK. So they've been hanging out with us, and they're mobilizing, finishing to raise their final support to get over to the UK, and trying to get them connected with some NPL people over there. And, it's just a roller coaster of things happening. I really can't, I don't know how or where it all took place. But I just know that God's moving in a way that I've never seen before, and been laboring here a while to see movement, been praying and fasting. And it's just been an incredible journey to see God move. I prayed that it would be sooner, but at the same time, it's in His time, and He's raised up the right people, and now even the leaders that we're pouring into are in different regions now, and God worked it out to where they're taking ownership of their local areas, not just a mass group, but some strategic people that God just placed together, and so I'm blessed to be able to see that come together. And so we get together once a week and do like a leadership call and just try to pray through any stuckages and talk about what's happening and all kinds of things. Also, something that I think really changed in the last couple of years is the language. I know it's biblical language for the entry, gospel, discipleship, church and leadership development, but just simple things like let's go care for our neighbors, and let's go share with them. Let's read the Bible and grow together, and let's use gather, or for leadership development like guide or the Holy Spirit. As we set apart different tools, in leadership, and just the simple tools that we say 3/3 instead of pattern of care, trainers or modelers. Weekly harvest is like model zones. When we try to change a little bit of the language, but not really the identity of the tool and how it's used, we found that was not as offensive to churches and organizations that were looking into maybe a church growth strategy, but not really to making disciples or sharing the gospel strategy. But they're willing to look into the work more. And so that has, I want to say that it was a key element to maybe what has allowed us to train a few churches that are like fully rolling on with the NPL strategy now, the 4 fields. And I say NPL, the 4 fields strategy with the vision of no place left in their city. And so that, I don't know if that's something that's happened, but I feel like that's definitely something that we've changed, the last couple of years. And that's helped out a lot with people that were looking in from the outside, but not really doing a whole lot with us as far as sharing the gospel, making disciples. But they've come on board since then. Something else too is the law of the straw. How do you get the Bible through the whole straw? Well, you take one piece at a time and you suck it up. And so a lot less content and more obedience based. It's something that I've had on my heart the whole time, but that's just keeping that principle down to, just let's learn how to follow Jesus, not just learn about him. And I think responsibility is like fertilizer. That's something I've heard for a long time, is the more you pass off the leadership roles and to bring something to the table each church meeting, you tend to study more or look at it before you come, and you learn it better, and then you can teach others to do it. So that's been something that's really big. If those were some key areas that I've learned in the last couple of years to help maybe drive forward on some movement that we haven't seen, or some people jumping on board with joining the team, so to speak.
And what have you learned about how God's shaping you as a leader?
Oh my! Well, I feel like I'm not haven't done very well, because I've been partnering where God was working. And so just trying to cast vision for movement to get started, to make disciples, to share the gospel, as a basis. And then using the strategy that's so biblical, so simple. Probably the biggest thing that I have learned is how the roles of different gifts are used to serve the body and keep it healthy. And especially the APAS, how best can each gift serve each person? So we've kind of broke out some like the prophet types. They might be able to help us hear from God better. And so I feel like we've set up some Let's Hear from God Bible studies. And so we want to see those Hear from God Bible studies be reproduced with some of the prophet people in the network, if that makes sense. And then there's some shepherd teacher types that maybe not sharing the gospel as much, but they're able to go a little deeper into discipleship. So we've kind of released the reins on, pointing people to the shepherd teacher types that are going deeper with maybe some of the teammates. And then the evangelists, we've been spreading those out to so they can model sharing the gospel. I can't do that all, and nor do I want to try anymore, because I was trying real hard. And that led us to something we did this past November, was 30 days in the Harvest November. With all the new growth that happened pretty much last year, we just took 30 days and we marked on the calendar a couple months ahead of time where each person or where each family wanted to target in the harvest. And so we wrote it down, and we tried to fill up every single day that someone was in the harvest from our network. And that way we could pray over the people that were going out, and then we also could join them if we wanted to. But so that led us into some healthy rhythms about being in the harvest. So since then, I feel like that's been a little catalyst to help us cast vision for sharing the gospel, finding a house of peace, whether that's in your oikos or in your neighborhood. And so that was been something cool that I seen God do. And that's sort of playing out into the leadership qualities things, is just kind of using everyone's gifts, trusting the Lord that they can do it, if that makes sense.
Mm. And, we're in the middle of a crisis at the moment. How have things changed, and what are you learning about, making the best of this time?
So I spent about 3-4 months casting vision for oikos last year as we got into the harvest. So January, we just started a little, or not, I don't know if we just started something, but we reach our oikos 2020. And when this pandemic started, it really forced us to really look into our oikos and find ways to share with them. So I heard some other guys, hey, put your testimony on the online and your social accounts. So we've had a few people do that. Real quick story about that. I was able to share my 15-second testimony a couple weeks ago, put it online, and had several responses. Well, I had a friend from school reach out and said that was inspiring. So we got to talk, and I was able to share the gospel with her, and she came to know Jesus. I had people writing out some emails, and just trying to be an encourager, telling their story through email, through video, and there was a couple people that have been able to share the gospel through their 15-second testimony on social media. So it's been a challenge for sure, not being able to be together with certain folks, but I won't say it hasn't been unfruitful to continue to, share the gospel and cast vision for mission that way. We did a 411 online, the first time I've ever done that. And that multiplied out to three different 411s in the same week. And so that was pretty inspiring. And two Commands of Christ groups came out of the oikos that they spanned out with the 411 that they did. So that was been really cool to see that work. I just feel like it's also maybe raised up some of the leaders, the go-getters, to the top that are still maybe going after movement in a way in the day and an age that we live in. But it's been encouraging to the rest of the body, I think, to know that God is still working and God is still, saving lives. And we had our first baptism last Saturday, actually. since the corona started. And so that's been pretty awesome to see that. When this first started too, I think we all decided, hey, we're just going to slim down to a certain group of people, and we're just going to hang out with them. And what happened is like the churches we were meeting with, they decided to not meet as church, but meet with the people they were ministering to. And it was like, I could have never thought of that. That was something that cool that happened. So what happened was with the baptism was just that. It was someone that he decided he was going to still continue to meet with, and they both agreed to, be as healthy and safe as they could. Well, he came to know Jesus, and now they baptized him Saturday, and it's been a fun time during this time. It's been challenging, but like I can't say that it's been, not fruitful for just trying to be obedient to the things that we can control.
And Chris, what are you trusting God for?
People being mobilized to parts of the world that do not have access to the gospel. I really want to see people from our area be raised up to go. Even if that's me, I want to be obedient to go. And I feel like God wants to do that, and He will do that. And I would like to see that happen. It doesn't have to be from here, but it can be from everywhere. I really want to see Him come back in my lifetime. And I really think it's possible. I really think that we live in a unique time in the world where this right here, the Zoom pandemic, is a good way where the gospel can still go out. It can still reach people, and maybe that's not the end all for reaching obviously every people group, but it's a good way to cast vision and train and see people go. I think, and just trying to use that as a platform with what God's given us to do ministry right now, trusting God that we're just going to be faithful in the things that we can control. But I'm really trusting God that my family, when my kids are grown and gone, that they'll follow the Lord wherever He calls them to do, run after a movement wherever they live. I know that might be scary, but I just soon see them pursuing the Lord wherever, in any part of the world, even if I can't be with them. So I'm trusting God for my family to be on mission and part of that. And I don't know, there's just, other than that, I really don't know, what else I can trust God for. Is just I know He's faithful, and I know He's going to love me to the end, and I know He's in control of all things. And but I would really love to see the world reached and see Him, come back in my lifetime.
Don't forget, if you're enjoying the podcast, why not leave a review or spread the word via social media? It really helps. This is Steve Addison for the Movements Podcast.